Now we wait. Now we wait. Come on, let's get those reactions. Oh, there. Look at this.
Right
See?
there. Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Mom, where are you? My mom better get on here or else I'm going to feel really offended. And were you not also provided, like you had eggs in one location? Yeah. And you borrow wine? Is that what happened? Or
No, so I went to the store, just needed eggs. Seems kind of silly. Go to my parents to say hi, forget my eggs there.
Right.
Tell my parents I'm going to be on here. It's going to be great. My parents are super cute like that. And then go back to get my eggs. And there's a note on the eggs that says, don't forget your wine, which is adorable.
I like it. Yes, it is. I saw that. I thought that was wonderful. What I may do here. Hi, everybody. Hi, Joanne. How are you? I'm just going to go share really quickly to tell everyone to get on here now, or I will even keep talking while doing this. But what I'm going to do is, I guess I should probably first, eggs and wine are a good combo, ? So this is Stef Lomatski, everybody. So we're going to be talking today on cocktails and cross stitch. And before I ask her to explain just how good, like you have all these like cool friends who come on and talk.
Out to the cool people. And I said that I would do a shout out every time they came on. So hello, Kristen. Good friend from childhood.
And Ryan is actually going to be one of the people on this show in a few weeks. I should know exactly when he's going to be on very soon. So yeah, I'm just going to go tell everyone to come on. Steph, you tell Ryan exactly why eggs and wine are such a good combo. And then I'm going to get you to explain
what we're doing.
What your first and foremost, what your cocktail is, because this has been a big thing for me. So
yeah. So Ryan, eggs and wine don't actually go together. What does go together is you forgetting your eggs at your parents' house, retrieving said eggs with a note that says, don't forget your bottle of wine, and then leaving the house with a bottle of wine and eggs.
So there we go.
Yeah.
There's the explanation. So Steph, before, I know there is grief counselor, mom, and badass feminist. Is that your title right now?
Sure. Yeah, we could do all three.
Yeah, exactly. So who did you pick for us to design the cross stitch pattern of today?
I picked Rupi Kaur. So I don't know. This probably ends up being like backwards, right? Because this probably like goes with my grief counseling piece. But one of my favorite poems is this one. I will probably not do it justice, but here we go. What is stronger than the human heart, which shatters over and over and still lives? So I think that just in life, I think that that's really kind of just so beautiful. And particularly my grief practice, that really like comes in a lot, right? That right. Something just can survive, and we have like this deep resilience.
And now before
oh, there we go.
Yeah, so Steph, while you were walking your dog all fancy like, I did a little bit more research into my pictures. We had a little bit of a discussion about the kind of outfit and the colors that we would go with for Rupi, and I figured a dress, and you had the blue and yellow from the cover.
Like from the cover, right? Like
yeah. Exactly. And so that's kind of, hi Dylan. I'll say hi first. So so if that's what we're going to go with, and then it does look like a lot of these. So the thing that I actually really enjoy doing are heels. It does look like there are a lot of heels in the pictures here.
I feel like that's just to be able to cross stitch heels, just so we're clear.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a
Okay.
solid.
So we will we'll go with that. We'll go with maybe like a blue dress. You said flowers in hand would probably make sense.
I feel like the book, right? Because like
yeah,
so many people.
exactly.
Yeah.
And then long hair is obviously a must.
I feel like that's a go-to, right?
Okay.
In so many photos. Yeah.
So that will set the stage for the design part of this. And before I ask you question number, I don't even know if it's question number 1 or if I've already asked a question, but I just wanted to show the pieces from when we chatted with Rachel Miner. So this is actually Meg Masters, who Rachel played on Supernatural. So that is one of the pieces. I didn't know exactly what I should be putting in the hand. If Rachel's watching, God, I'm so sorry. I forget what the name of the thing that she holds is. And we also this is the pattern that we developed ourselves. So that is Agent Dana Scully. So there we go. So those are the 2 from last time. So the pieces that we designed do in fact get turned into actual cross stitches, and we're doing Rupi Kaur right now. And Steph, this is again. So we're designing cross stitch stuff, but we're also having meaningful conversation. And as a parent, I do believe that my kids have an understanding of what death is. They haven't lost anyone, in their immediate family at this point. They know that Andrea lost her mom when she was really young. So I do think it's an important kind of thing for parents, and everyone to be able to talk about grief and to talk about death, because I do know that this is one of those topics that does, I guess, rightly or wrongly, I don't know, maybe you'll be able to shed light on it, bring a sudden halt to conversations, because a lot of times people just don't know how to talk about death or grief. So I honestly, I don't even know what kind of questions to ask to start this kind of topic. But as someone who works in this, what are some things that people should be basically aware of around grief and death?
That's like a huge question.
Sure.
I think your comment that you just said around like it just being like so silenced is so true, right? And so it's really hard, like my past work too is in sexual violence, and you experience like the same thing, right? Like that it's a conversation that we need to have. It's super difficult. I think when it comes to kids, I feel sometimes it's hard to gauge with my own children because I talk so openly about this that they're probably like, mom, like my 3-year-old, I had my grandmother pass 2 years ago, and then like she'll still like randomly maybe see something that reminds her of her great grandmother, and she's like, Big Boy is dead, and we're like, yes, like, but it's very blunt, right? Because like 3-year-olds are like blunt in life, and like the topic of death, they're still blunt.
Sure.
And I think for like talking to like little humans, a lot of it is about like being direct, but not being scary, right? So being able to say, yes, that person died, their body stopped working, and like you can go into that conversation. But saying, like these vague words like they passed or they're in a better place, that's like too much. Like that's too abstract for the littles. Right. And just really answering their questions, right? Like I think sometimes we don't give kiddos like enough credit that they can interpret their world and ask questions when they don't know, right? And so if we're just open and caring and loving, then that can create like this really big space for them to ask these questions when they come up.
So this is another question that I have then, and this is the same thing. So I'm trying to apply this the same way that we apply a lot of what you're talking about earlier is the same way that, that we talk about penises and vulvas and everything in our house, right? Like our kids are the ones who give educations at school and everything. And it's wonderful. And I totally love that they do that. So I'm trying to think about it from the same perspective. Do you wait until death is in their lives, or do you find examples where, I mean, it unfortunately not hard to find examples of death around you, right? So if it's either bringing what's in the news, if there is a death of a prominent person, do you bring discussion of death and grief in before they see it, or do you wait for something to happen, kind of thing?
I've kind of gone with, I think, the position as a parent, right? To be able to have conversations about grief and death and transition. So like not just keeping it around like body death, but more around what does transition look like, right? Because if you have the conversation around transition and life changing, then when someone dies, yes, that's like a final piece, but it's also kind of a change in a life, right?
Yep.
You know, I think for when they were little, being able to talk about them, even when like planting flowers, right? So like sometimes I have a green thumb. Joanne has a green thumb. Hey mom, a little shout out there. I do not always. But even being able to have that conversation just like in a life cycle piece,
Sure.
is kind of like a gentle place to start that conversation, right?
Yeah.
And then, you know, if somebody does die, or if they do comment on, like you said, like news and media, being able to like answer their questions, right? Like kids ask really brilliant questions. Like they know the information they seek. And I think like that's the impressive part that I think I've seen with the littles.
This seems an absolutely inappropriate time to bring up this question, but did I get you to explain the cocktail that you had? I all of a sudden
did not, but that's
thinking,
how
yeah, so the other thing I want to do at this time to make myself not sound like a completely awful person is, if people have questions, please do ask them in the comment section as well. I can also do like I can display them on the screen as well. If people have questions that they'd like answers from Stef and God forbid me, please do ask them, and we will get to those as well. So we do want to make this as interactive a discussion as we can as well. So Stef, in the meantime, what do you think? Could you describe your drink that I've been thinking about for a while?
I know. I thought everybody curated a drink, just so we're clear.
Right.
But I am also slightly addicted to Pinterest. And so I really like went out there. And so I feel like, okay, so I also don't have time to make my own lemonade. So I purchased some lemonade.
That's okay.
Yeah. So in the cocktail, sliced orange, lemonade, some lime liqueur.
Jeez.
Yeah. And then I have some thyme and some mint for my backyard.
So what did you show on Instagram? What was on Instagram? There was something that you showed. There was a
mint.
I thought it was mint, and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna say it's mint because I'm gonna look like a fool, and I should have said it because I thought it was mint. And geez, yeah, Ryan, that does sound delicious. I'm gonna put the pressure on Ryan to come up with his own starting right now to think about that, because that does sound outstanding.
And I put some mint in my ice cream.
No,
yes,
you do go hard on the Pinterest, don't you?
But there's a lot of like Pinterest fails for me, so it needs to be a success. So I'm gonna like really, really take this in.
Do you watch? Do you happen to watch Nailed It by any chance on Netflix?
I do. My 9-year-old. That's our favorite show.
Yeah, we just watched another episode tonight from season 2, and we, as a family, all 4 of us, we almost lost our minds laughing. It was unbelievably funny. There was a unicorn cake, without spoiling any more. there was a unicorn cake that people have absolutely got to go look at because it was something else. So yes, that's my. I'm also doing whatever I want over here on this design, and I feel like I should probably be checking in with people.
I feel like I think the hair is sweet, right?
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's and I noticed they spell the name with small letters. So at least I've seen a lot of the time with small letters. Okay.
Oh, apparently I'm spot on.
Yeah, exactly. Just told me to say that everything Steph was saying earlier is spot on. She's a fan of Nailed It. So look at that. We are even giving it. This is why I like having people who are intelligent on, so that it's not just me talking about cross stitch and making a fool of myself. So that's some kind of inside joke. I don't know what this one is all about. So the most recent comment from Mom.
I don't know. I think my mom's gonna have to give me a little bit more. Maybe the unicorn cake.
Okay. Maybe.
I'm gonna throw that guess out there.
And
a lot of sparkles in our house.
Amazingly enough, for Andrea, she is actually designing a unicorn cake for somebody. So the episode even came in handy for her. There was something that she got out of it. Oh, what have I done here? You know, sometimes I make a big mess of these things and I embarrass myself. But
like a little color sweet. Good.
So oh no, wrong. Okay, I'm gonna try. So yeah, talking about the cake. Christine, I assume Christine is talking about you being awesome. So thank you, Christine. I also agree with you on that. I'm gonna throw a little bit of a belt on here as well.
Yeah, do it.
I like to throw.
I think you made a comment earlier just about like pets tend to also be, if people have pets, like first introduction pieces to like having conversations around death.
Yeah.
And that, you know, like sometimes that one's really hard, right? That sometimes you're able to like really plan and have bigger discussions earlier, like if there's a dog that's sick. Other times it can be really sudden. One thing that I also really go back to is like being able to, and I think this goes back to like consent conversations, right? Around being able to like give choice to kids on how, one, they want to grieve, but two, how they want to say goodbye.
Yep.
I think opening up the door to creativity is really, really important for kids, and then providing choice on what that could look like.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we just don't like give that space to like honor how we would want to say goodbye and honor that not everything has to be done in the same way, right?
Yeah. And so speaking about how you would talk about consent as well. So I would imagine that this is one of those, it's not a simple, you talk about it for 15 minutes one night and then say, all right, we're done with that. We don't have to talk about how they want to grieve or death or emotions around this kind of event. I would imagine then that it is an ongoing conversation that they're always welcome and encouraged to ask questions on if it comes up.
Yeah, exactly, right? That's you know, like we had our dog at 13 years leave our family, and for my both kids, that was the only dog pet they had ever lost. Right. And there's actually like a dog in our neighborhood who looks very similar to that dog. And so we'll see that dog, and you know, sometimes, you know, my older one will say like he looks like our dog. And I'm like, he does, you know, and he's like, I'm sad. And I was like, it is sad because he was a really good dog. And then he'll say in the same breath, he always stole our food. And I was like, he also stole our food, right? Like, yeah, we can have all these things. Yeah. But he's the kid who like will definitely bring it up in like little seeds and little bits. Sure. So I think it's just being comfortable to answer questions and also being comfortable to be like, I'm not sure how to answer that, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's something too, as parents, you know, like so much is put on us to be able to like answer every question, but we don't know everything, right?
Yes, exactly.
And this is another topic. Yeah. I love it.
Excuse my weird design pattern for a second. I never enjoy the idea of a cinched waist, as it were. It feels wrong. So I'm trying to find ways here to. Oh, I can't even step back far enough anymore. I've lost my design here. I'm going to go back to. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I like it.
Go back to here for now.
I'm just reading Christine's comments.
Yeah. Yeah. So whatever you, if you see comments as well while I'm busy doing some kind of earrings or something, feel free to go ahead and address those, or else I'll try to also come back and.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the same way that we do things in our family. Is just to and there's Andrea, who has a much better perspective than I do on these things. So I like the perspective of providing your kid a choice and how they want to grieve and say goodbye. I remember my mother followed that advice of the funeral home when her father died and kept me home. She regretted it, and it made it hard for me as a 10-year-old kid to figure out things without any closure. And so, yeah, like you said, there is no, and this is, I think, one of the very common phrases about it, but I also imagine it's correct. There is no right or wrong way to grieve. I imagine there are times where you might want to talk to somebody about your grief without saying that you're going about this incorrectly. You shouldn't have wanted to attend a wake or a funeral, or again, this is me and my complete lack of knowledge about these kind of situations. But your whole discussion on allowing them to choose how they would like to do it is a very interesting one, especially if you, as a parent, kind of contradict. If your way of grieving is different from theirs as well, that puts it in a bit of a conundrum, I guess. Do you have any tips for that? Actually, now that I'm thinking, I remember when just our cat died, we brought the cat to the vet, and I couldn't talk because I was crying so hard. And so it's those kind of things. If is it just you put your own emotions, you try to allow yourself to dissociate while they're doing something that you're uncomfortable with, to allow them to grieve the way that they would like to? Or
yeah, well, I think that's like the comfort place, right? Of like, the more we have these conversations and the more we can kind of see where it feels comfortable for us to grieve, then we can like open up those spaces, right? So just like when we're talking about consent, if you're so uncomfortable with that conversation, then like you as a parent, you as a human being, like need to start there, right? But people really also like don't know that there are people grieve in so many different ways. So like I'm a talker, like I'm just gonna talk it out. My emotions are just gonna keep coming out until like I'm done with that process.
Yeah.
And other people will like go back to work, you know, maybe immediately after somebody dies, because they're going to do it in like smaller little bits.
Yeah.
And I also think it's like really hard that we've kind of constructed death and grieving, particularly grieving, as like this end goal, like I'm done now. Whereas when we look at grief and we see it as part of just like our existence, and we can see that we want to move towards like integration and not necessarily like an end process, right? Like the goal of like grief work and the work that I do with folks is around being able to say like, you're going to know when you don't need to see me anymore, when you can bring that person to mind and it not be devastating.
Sure.
right? And so that you can bring that person to mind and either like reflect on maybe how the relationship was what you wanted or didn't want, or remember them in a loving way, right?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
things to remind you. And so like that's also a conversation we've never really had with people. So people sometimes think like, I'm still thinking about them in this way. And sometimes that's completely normal.
Yeah.
And that to get teary if you're thinking about somebody who was really fundamental and in your life, like that's a normal human reaction, right?
Yeah. Man, this has been a very valuable conversation. I'm realizing this is wonderful. You can kind of ignore what I'm doing. The flowers are going to look pretty weird, only because there's only so much I can do with squares. I can do more with when I'm actually stitching these, but for now, I'm just trying to put some kind of weird, I keep forgetting, representation of flowers.
Yes, I like it.
You can randomly kind of tell, just so that I have, so I do need a little bit of feedback here on the pattern itself. I don't know. I feel like it's not quite there. Maybe on the verge of there, but not quite there.
What do you feel?
I don't know. I don't know what I need to add, but I feel like there's something.
I feel like you made quick work of it.
Yeah,
like,
I did get started and just no, I'm gonna take everything I just added away. I think it's the dress that's bugging me.
Hey people, what do you think about the dress? I feel like let's put it out to the crowd first.
How's there? We'll put that collar. Anyone who is listening to us, we're going to take a break from the discussion for a second. Did I disappear?
You got a little choppy.
Am I back now-ish?
Ish.
Okay.
Oh, Stef, what kind of books, resources would you recommend for kids who have questions about that? There's a whole list of them. I don't always work with like kids, but I can maybe send some along. I don't have any off the top of my head. But there's some good ones out there. I do also think that like maybe someday I will write this, but I really feel like some books aren't as nuanced as I would like them to be around like the grief process and what that feels like. But let me do some research and I'll put them up. I'll send them to you. You can put them on your Instagram.
Can you am I back a bit for you now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're good now.
Okay.
Oh, I think I like it. Yeah, I think I like it that length.
Yeah, and this is a family decision. I decided to take Joanne's comments here.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, exactly. I went from groovy long to too long, settled on right there. So is that I could probably even go one more notch if need be, but let's see.
I feel like that's good. I feel like that's a good line.
I actually do feel better right there.
Oh, look, there you go. See, my mom's all over it.
Yeah, I know. This is why it's so wonderfully invaluable. All right. So what are we thinking with the design here?
I really like it.
Okay, I'm going to hide this part. Don't think we need that anymore. Dress isn't bad. Steph, the other thing that I like to ask people is also if they have any questions about any of the stuff that I do or any questions. It's basically me saying, I'm not good at asking questions. Do you have any questions that you would like to ask me kind of thing? So so that's the other part of this show is the opportunity for anyone in the audience as well, or Steph, if you have questions about my specific approach to masculinity, feel free to ask those as well, everybody here.
Well, I feel, yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, I have so many questions that I feel like that puts me on the spot of like just deciding which one. But I do think that so we, I guess, met, my goodness, like 4 years ago. I think when you came to one of our conferences to be a speaker.
Correct.
Yeah. And I kind of reflect back on like that time and how I think that you've been like one of the key people to be able to like, especially like locally, I would say, and beyond, but like to progress that conversation of, you know, being able to have open like conversations, particularly like, so I have a son.
Yep.
And, you know, that I think you've even taught me a lot about how to talk about masculinity with him. Right. Like as he's kind of growing up, because I was like, okay, how do I make a feminist son here? Like, how do I ensure like you're giving all of the world in this? And I actually like thought of this podcast yesterday because he asked me, he was like, Mom, when do you, and he'll probably like kill me if he ever sees this. Like, he's like, Mom, when does puberty like really start and how will I know? And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so prepped for this conversation.
Yeah.
Right. But I think that, you know, like whether it's like you, like men and daughters, or talking to like my son, you know, I think there's like so much like richness there around how we're having conversations. And I think it's like just a brilliant time. So thank you.
Yeah. That's been the interesting part of how I've started to approach my discussions is, for a while, I was like, should I be talking about raising boys? I don't have boys. And then I realized I'm a man, so I can probably go ahead and speak to my audience, so to speak, right? And that's, over time, I've kind of started to shift how I approach my discussions by trying to find spaces where I would be the feminist voice, right? So it's not trying to take my voice and, I mean, I'm always happy to speak at places that are already feminist focused and everything. But the thing was, I think the Donald Trump speaking points and the whole locker room talk discussion was a real eye opener for me about, okay, if this is the kind of thing that is happening in locker rooms, or that people are even implying happen in locker rooms, where are the people who are speaking up or should be speaking up? And so that's when I kind of shifted a little bit to, okay, I'd like to focus now more on masculinity than being a dad who talks about having strong daughters, because, I mean, strong daughters are everywhere, right? And it's strong daughters are one thing, but it's also talking about what strength can mean in a boy as well. And it doesn't have to be runs the 100-meter dash faster than anyone in his class, or is the one who hits the home run at, 6-year-old softball. It can be the one who puts a shoulder around somebody or who cries themselves, right? So I think for me, I just wanted to talk about that gentle side more often, because I think that's where I personally identify as well. And I think that I've started to, I mean, I'm now months away from being 40, and it's not that I don't care about what people think of me anymore, but I certainly don't lend what other people think of me. I don't give that the same value that I once did. So I, at this point, just like to live the things that I would like to do, which is why I've started cross-stitching and why I've started talking about other aspects of my life as well. So it's been very rewarding personally, as well as being able to talk to other guys about things that I think other guys do want to talk about, but don't always know where to go to have those conversations. So trying to be the one to facilitate those.
Yeah,
that was a long
I think that's
ramble of a not even question. So
I like it. But you're like, it's so true, right? That, like I kind of talk about it as like also teaching like just emotional intelligence, right?
Yeah.
Like we react to other human beings in a way that it's like kind and compassionate.
Yeah.
Like we can all like walk through this world as kindly and compassionately as possible. Like that's the goal.
Exactly.
That's my goal. My goal as a parent to teach, and like my goal personally.
I agree. I think we're on board with that. I am. I was looking at this. I should probably just shut this off actually, so that I stop playing around with it. But for some reason,
you didn't like the high heels.
No, I did like the high heels. I just feel like she's taller than I was letting on for whatever reason. I don't even know why. I'm going to add them back, but I was just adding extra.
I feel like it was a good height, good proportion.
Extra leg notches here.
See? My mother agrees. Cross stitch, very relaxing and chill.
Yeah, and that's actually one of the things that's come out of cross stitching is it's been so good for my mental health as well. I just started it as something that I thought would be cool, and I would do a Michelle Obama piece, and woohoo, I did it. I crossed something I wanted to do off of my list. But it's so, for someone who has a lot of anxiety, it's so refreshing to just focus on one single activity, because it doesn't really afford you a lot of. It's not like watching Netflix where I get 3 minutes into a show and then my brain is wandering off somewhere. When you cross stitch, the minute your brain wanders off, you've got a mistake that you're swearing about, and it's like, damn it. So it's actually been so good for anxiety. It's pretty awesome. So extra bonus.
And I think like things like that, right? That like finding the thing that like calms your body.
Yeah.
Like I am 2 years away from 40, but I for sure see it in the distance. But I kind of like, this birthday was like, you know what, like I'm gonna like move towards joy and like what that looks like. And I think even my kids notice that, like, so I'm not a very good gardener, but like just the act of like planting things and like nurturing things and doing all that piece, like just is so calming, probably in like a similar way that like cross stitch for you is so calming, right?
Yeah.
And for the 6 people watching right now, like I'm wondering like what else people do to like calm themselves, right? Because I think when we're talking about like life, mental wellness, or like grief, like finding those things in moments where you're like not in tension or in crisis, like can also be like a really strong base of healing, right?
Yeah, and that has been the thing with the cross stitch for me, is that I'm not even good at it. The kind of like it is such a basic form of cross stitch that I do, but it is so relaxing and everything that I just couldn't. I don't want anything more than what I do, and I don't want to not do it. I found the exact perfect mix of it being able to help me and also being able to do like put together pieces that I like. So watercolor painting, there's one.
Yeah, I don't have an example.
An exercise. Laura, yeah. I also I do actually enjoy
things.
I glue things. Yes. Yeah, she's also this has been a big year for the garden, actually.
Excellent.
We're normally big spring season gardeners.
Yeah.
And then by October everything is in disarray. But this year things are looking pretty good out there. Yeah, Andrea and I are pretty similar, and now we have so much stuff that we just make to take our minds off things that we've started going to like craft shows with all of our anxiety buster crafts. So we just sell things that we make out of anxiety now.
I love it.
How was your drink, Steph?
It is delicious. Well, and like I think I forgot to mention, well, except for the time keeps getting stuck in my teeth. So if you see me doing that, that's why.
Right. Okay.
But I picked thyme because it's an herb, and one of its meanings is around like bravery and strength.
Okay.
And so I kind of thought like entering into the conversation of like grief and death and everything in between, like
that would be a good, yeah. Again, this is like I don't know. I just have a red wine that says it's smooth and around mouth feel. So I didn't really put the same. Maybe that was me and being talking very openly, round mouth something. I don't know.
I feel like you have contributed the cross stitch.
Yeah, that's what I try to do, and then I try if I can get in one question that sounds like it makes sense. I've considered my interviewing part successful as well. So, this I don't. Does anyone else have questions or comments or anything that they would like us to chat about? Because this is a really valuable conversation for me, and I've actually started to like the pattern. So I've come around to it. Now, what I may do, this is probably what I'll leave it at for now. I may make an adjustment or two later on, but this does feel pretty good, right? Like this does look okay.
I feel like it's looking okay.
Yeah.
I kind of one of these to get closer.
Yeah. Well, what I'm going to do here? Hold on. I have a. Let's see if this. I should be able to do something here. Oh, here we go.
I like a good drink, Andrea, and I agree.
But Andrea, use your spell checker while you do this. She's upstairs watching kids. I should probably be quiet. Dang it, she's gonna hear that. This is not good. And Steph can make the drinks. Yeah. So what will you be doing then, Andrea?
I feel like she'll be the kids can have very intelligent conversations, but I'm sure she'll join in too.
Andrea will be gluing things, I suppose. So yeah, so can you see that bigger now?
Me?
Yeah. I should.
Mine's not bigger, but I can just like lean in.
Yeah, if you just lean in really close.
Yeah.
And everyone else, I think, should be seeing it as the only thing on their screen right now. Yeah, I think I like this one. I think I like this one.
Too. I think that looks really good.
Good.
I really love the colors. I feel like that gives like the nod to everything.
Comic relief. Ha ha ha. Here's I don't know how to not make this. There we go. Yeah, I'm really good with technology and stuff as well. Steph, I really want to say thank you for all the work you have done in the past. I certainly was thinking back actually to that presentation today, as I was like, that's where I met Steph. That was a fun conversation, and certainly it's always for me fun to do those things because I tend to learn way more than I think that I kind of teach or share. But that was a great intimate conversation that I really loved, and met a lot of really cool people that day as well that I still talk to this day. So and I know how much work you've put into so many things locally, and appreciate that work so much, and want to thank you for coming in and talking about a topic that is certainly not an easy one to talk about, but an important one for everyone to have kind of some tools or some basic awareness around. So thank you very much for that.
Well, thanks for having me. This is awesome. And the cocktail, the cross stitch, I'm loving it. The conversation.
Exactly. Right? So with that, then I'm probably going to invite you back at some point, and we'll have a follow-up conversation. Maybe we'll do it while all of our kids are having their intelligent conversations, and we'll all just be doing our own little things at that point in time. So,
right? That's awesome. That's great.
Perfect.
Thank you so much.
Well,
this is amazing.
Thank you very much. And I will share our video widely once we've wrapped this up tomorrow. For anyone who did miss it, this is us saying thanks for checking it out on secondhand video. Oh, Look at that. We just had a question come in. So I'm gonna give out your website. Okay, first question about the cross stitch designing that just occurred to me. Okay, yeah, absolutely go ahead and ask any cross stitch designing questions. Steph, do you have websites to give out? Any?
No.
I know I do.
You have what? You go.
Well, I'm at everydaygirldad.com. And actually, I grabbed the wrong side of my shirt. I just got this in the mail today. It's my Let Boys Cry shirt that I now sell on everydaygirldad.com. And I bought 2 of them for myself because I'm not very good at making money, but I'm very good at spending money. So, yeah, so new shirts up there. Shapes and sizes of women. Yes. This is one of the things that I am the worst at. Yeah, the ones that you've seen have mostly been the same shape. So I did Tess Holiday just because I had realized how many I was doing of the same shape. So there's been Tess, there's been Maya Angelou, but yet there's no question that many of my this goes back to what I was talking about earlier, why I don't like these cinched waists either, because a lot of cross stitch patterns can get pretty they do discriminate on body size, and parts of why I have certain people why a lot of mine look the same size, even if that person might be slightly bigger or smaller than the person before, is because of the limitations I've set myself on cross-stitch sizes and style. Whenever you go in the kind of format that I've set out here, it's really difficult to add. Like what you'll see on this one is that there's 2 squares per leg, and the difference adding when you add a third, there's no real in between with the kind of sizes that I have. So what am I doing here? Like you see, if I need to kind of make my my sheets bigger in order to get sizes correct, because right now, like you'll notice, it's like whenever you're adding one line, you are adding 50% to it, as opposed to adding, like an extra 25 pounds, or adding like an extra 100 pounds to a body. And so that's why all of my cross stitches are a little off in that. But I completely agree that the sizing of mine is off for sure. I don't do enough diversity in bodies is basically my really short answer, or the short answer to the long answer I just gave. So, but yes. Yeah, the how to portray it without looking overemphasized, because again, I'm not trying to stress any of the things. I don't know if I have any around, but yeah, I have done a few different body shapes, but always looking to do more. So you suggest the next one and I will learn how to do better at those. So I do appreciate that question very much, actually. And now there is an Instagram share there, but I don't know how to click that without making my whole computer explode, I think. So I assume that's something really cool that Andrea just shared that everyone should go into the comments and check out. What is that? Let's see what that is. I'm going to click on this at the risk of everything breaking. Oh, there's the tests here. What I'll do. Can people see that now? So that is the test one that I did. So the thing that was really difficult about that one actually was tattoos. Tattoos are harder than anything to do, and Tess has a whole lot of tattoos. So and they're all really cool. So yeah, that was me attempting to do some different bodies. Again, understanding that I do need to vary that, because a lot of the reason that I started to design my own patterns was because I was seeing a lack of diversity in patterns. Not surprisingly, there were a lot of white superheroes and white wizards and witches. So I wanted to do the Black Panther people. So that's when I started. And the other thing that I'll just call myself out on is I haven't used any mobility devices or differently abled people. It's been a lot of, so there's certainly a lot of things that I'm looking to integrate into my cross stitching, while maintaining, again, my very limited skill set. So I'm learning as I go along, and as I learn more, I'm able to do more people and have more diversity in my patterns. So that was that. That was a good question that led me on a long answer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
so there she is. There's Rupi Kaur. So now I'll say again then, Steph, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And we will be in touch for sure, and then I'll share this all as well. So we do have another show on Friday with the person behind the Wire and Honey clothing line. If people haven't checked out Wire and Honey, do go check it out. I just made a Golden Girl patterns and pieces. She just got those today, and we traded Golden Girls pieces for some of their shirts. And the shirts this time were for me and Andrea, not for our kids. So take that, kids. So yeah, there'll be another one on Friday, and I realize now I have to get better at my own cocktail creation, because this has been some next level cocktailing right here.
You can do my Pinterest obsessions.
Yeah, exactly. Send them along to me. Anything with mint. We have mint in our garden right now. So
great. I have like a whole selection.
Yes, mint works.
Like save, pin it. Like that's, you can go.
Hey, there's Sarah Adams right there.
Yeah.
So that Sarah Adams who just checked in, there she is, the Wire and Honey. Again, so go check out all of their clothing. Wait patiently. We're gonna try to come up with some ways to raise some donations potentially from this as well. So I will get working on this, and I will share it with people. And then Steph, you and I can figure out what we're going to do with this finished piece. Shouldn't take me too long, I don't think. I think I have all these colors right now.
Awesome.
So yeah.
All right.
Thank you very much, Steph. And I will talk to you later.
Well.
Thank you, everybody.
Take care.